Spoiler warning for both Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. Hello Arrowverse fans from all around the world, and welcome to a brand new video here on the Adrian EN channel. You read the title. Today I am going to be ranking every Arrowverse character from worst to best. Oh, however, I will only be including the most prominent ones. No one-time appearances, cameos, and no people I have no memory of, or I haven't watched enough of to judge fairly. I haven't watched a whole lot of Supergirl, and I'm still catching up on Arrow, so there will be next to none of those characters in here. I will be making an updated version of this list with all characters from those two shows as well, at the end of the year, so make sure you subscribe to not miss it. Some big characters that aren't going to be on this list are Gary, Alex, Martian Manhunter, Superman, Patty, Diggle, and Laurel. Y'all ready? Buckle up and let's begin. So, at the bottom of the list, at number 65, we have the Hawkman himself, Carter Hall. This is the most bland, uninteresting, and dumbass character in the entirety of the Arrowverse. I often try to forget season 1 of Legends ever existed, and Carter's acting in the show is one of the reasons why. He doesn't have an interesting character arc, he dies or gets hurt incredibly bad all the time very easily, and he even lacks the ability to express genuine emotions properly. I was thrilled and over the moon when he left at the end of the season, and I really hope he never returns and I never have to see him again, ever. Coming up next at number 64 is the girlfriend of Carter, the Hawk Girl, Kendra Saunders. I'm not going to go into much detail about her, as her plotline and character arc, or rather the lack thereof, was pretty much identical to Carter's. The only reason I'm placing her higher on the list is because she felt more like a real human, rather than a stale alien of sorts. She had some chemistry with Cisco, if you can even call it that, and she wasn't as terrible of a fighter as Carter. But in the end she failed to be even somewhat interesting. Coming up next, we have Vandal Savage, the villain of Legends of Tomorrow Season 1. His character, his appearance, just everything about him feels off to me for some reason. He kills just for the sake of it, but is not even remotely interesting, and due to the lack of proper motivations, I never managed to feel for him in any way. He's bland, just as the two Hawks, his outfits are awful, and he acts way too dark and serious for a show that's supposed to be campy and fun. All in all, a terrible villain that you don't even love to hate, just hate. Coming in at number 62 is Oliver Queen's wife, Felicity Smoke. Now, I can see why some people would like her as a character, but personally I really just don't. Like, at all. Her terrible comedic timing and her annoying presence pisses me off every time she appears on screen, and I can't help but feel sorry for Stephen Amell that has to hang out with her every time and record scenes with her. I kind of enjoy her friendship with Cisco to a degree, but every time I think she's about to become more likable, she fucks it up again. The Earth X crossover was horrible for her. She yelled out in front of everyone that she did not want to marry Oliver, but then she ruined the moment of Barry and Iris's wedding by saying they should marry two at the same time, and so on and so on. I'm very glad Arrow is ending, so she can get out of this universe once and for all. At number 61, we have the bad guy from Legends of Tomorrow Season 4, the Demon Nero. Now, I don't have anything against this character. His design is mediocre, but his motivations are still unclear, and he has barely had any screen time. The season is coming to an end, and there is still so much to uncover. I can't rank him any higher because of his lack of screen time, but I am hopeful that he will get some awesome scenes moving forward, especially with Constantine. Rounding off the 60s with number 60, we've got Dark Arrow from Earth X. This character had 4 episodes of an epic epic crossover to show his full potential. But unfortunately, he ended up being overshadowed by the Reverse Flash and Overgirl. Everything he was doing was for Overgirl, and this would have been fine if there was real chemistry between the two of them. But in reality, there was none, at least not for me, so the plotline felt unnecessary. He didn't have any particularly good action scenes, and he didn't have enough screen time to really shine. Unfortunately, he did fall flat, but he still felt more like a genuine character than the previous ones on the list, and for that reason, he is ranked higher. Starting off the 50s, we've got Nora West Allen, the daughter of Barry Allen and Iris West Allen, particularly the version from the future that has been heavily featured as a prominent series regular in season 5 of The Flash. Nora is seriously annoying. She keeps fucking everything up and making everything worse. Every episode she has to learn the same lessons over and over again, and she never learns. She fucked up the timeline, lied to Barry and the team, worked with Eobard Thawne behind their backs, and doesn't have any good personality traits, apart from her constant sobbing, bitching and moaning. To me, she comes off as a desperate attempt by the writers to have a character for Barry and Iris to bond through, and it simply doesn't work. Coming up next at number 58 is Kuasa, the anti-hero or whatever you want to call her from Legend Season 3. Amaya is coming up soon, but for those who haven't watched the show, Kuasa is Amaya's granddaughter, and she is admittedly a relatively cool character, but she's very forgettable. Personally, I honestly don't remember much about her at all, except for the fact that she was jealous of something like that, and she ended up with all the totems. I liked her redemption arc, but in regards of everything she did that entire season, she just felt like a character that didn't need to be there. We could have given the other characters more development instead of focusing on her, and that really annoys me. Anyways, at number 57, we have Eddie Thawne from season 1 of The Flash. My god, where do I even begin with this one? Eddie was awful. He only served as a love interest to Iris and an opponent to Barry that couldn't be stopped with super speed. He was simply only there for emotional purposes for the characters around him, and suffered from that. The whole thing with him being the ancestor of Eobard Thawne felt really forced and out of left field, and it didn't give justice to either of the characters. I don't like Barry and Iris together personally, but Eddie and Iris were even worse in every way. He didn't feel human, he was creepy and felt out of place. I'm glad he shot himself, because it gave a good ending to his character. He died a hero, and we never have to see him again. It's basically a win-win situation. Number 56 is, as I promised, Amaya from Legends of Tomorrow. Now we are finally starting to get into the good characters. I like Amaya, I really do, but she does have a lot of flaws and that make it so I can't place her any higher on the list. While all the main cast members of Legends are campy and silly, Amaya was always the serious character that felt more like a mom than a friend. Her relationship with Nate never seemed fitting to me, and I didn't like her constant issues with having to go back to the past and stuff. I'm glad the actress gets to shine as Charlie now, which I'll talk more about later. At number 55, we have Iris West Allen. This may be a controversial pick, which is understandable, but for me she's just not as good of a character as she could be. She is constantly slowing down Barry by saying dumb shit like, "It's dangerous, don't do it," and stuff like that. And she's always so melodramatic and annoying. Coming off of the relationship with Eddie, jumping right into a thing with Barry is just wrong on so many levels. Especially since they are basically siblings. And here on Adrian EN, we do not support incest in any way, regardless if they are related by blood or not. So now I must unfortunately move on to other characters.
Coming up at number 54 is Marlize DeVoe. This character was honestly not too bad in my opinion. She started off as a bland and basic bitch, but as the season went on, I slowly started to understand her more and more. She had some really cool scenes with her and Iris and her husband Clifford, and although she felt like a slave to him, she did have her own agendas as well, which I thought was cool. There was not too much to say about her, aside from the fact that the reason she is low is because of a rocky start. I liked her in the end, but the plot twist of her suddenly turning good was kinda stupid, and it didn't fit the way she had been acting up at the final plot point.
Next up, we have Julian, aka Alchemy. Yet another forgettable villain, or forgettable character that I didn't care for in the slightest. But at least he looked decent. Season 3 of The Flash was not good, I didn't enjoy it. All the main villains were pretty bad. Black Flash got shafted, Killer Frost was put on the sideline to serve Savitar, Savitar himself was god-awful, and yet none of them compared to the terrible character of Julian. After suddenly appearing because of Flash time, I knew as the season started he wouldn't be a good fit for Team Flash. His character was boring and the alchemy reveal was predictable as hell. I can't believe the actor would degrade himself to that from his success in Harry Potter and probably other franchises too. Coming up next at 52 is Desmond. This one is pretty weird to me, as I've decided to include Neron and Desmond as two different characters, although Neron takes the appearance of Desmond. Desmond is charming, he really is. I loved all the scenes he had with Constantine, but he hasn't gotten too much screen time yet. Compared to Neron, however, the scenes he actually has been in have been pretty cool, and I'm very excited to see how they plot the storyline between him, Constantine, and Neron. At the 51st spot, we have Mr. HR. Where do I even begin? The constant new Wells appearances in The Flash are really starting to get repetitive, and that especially shows with HR. This character is boring and very strange, but not in a good way. His comedic lines don't land, and he felt very out of place. The only redeeming quality he had was his final scene where he sacrificed himself to save Iris. I don't have much to say about it, to be honest, aside from what has already been stated, so I'm just going to move on. Moving along, we're getting close to the end of the 50s with number 50. This is, of course, Overgirl, the evil Supergirl from Earth X. This character was, of course, not very well fleshed out because she only appeared in 4 episodes, but she still got many awesome lines and moments to shine. I really did enjoy her character, but the biggest problem was the actress's lack of good ability to play an evil person. She just came off as adorable when she tried to look menacing, and I didn't buy her as a villain, especially not as a crazy evil Nazi. Still, she was quite enjoyable to watch, so she gets the honor of rounding off the 50s. Alright, jumping into the 40s, we've got Amunet Black. This character is very interesting, as she existed pretty much only to boost the character of Killer Frost. I enjoyed her power set, and her personality wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable to a degree. I liked the storyline of her buying and selling metahumans for her own gain, and it even made for a cool episode when Barry and some other mutants escaped from her cells. Her voice, however, was very goofy, and not in a good way. It was simply just annoying. All in all, a cool character that didn't get enough screen time to really shine. If she comes back, I will be open for it. Coming up at number 48 is Batwoman. Batwoman only appeared in the most recent crossover, Elseworlds, but she is set to have her own show coming up very soon. I didn't really like her personality. She was sassy but not in a good way, and seemed like quite the jerk. Her action scenes, however, were really cool, and she seemed like such a badass fighter. Her costume was also pretty cool, although I don't feel like she would be a good lead for a show, but being a side character for crossovers and other shows would probably suit her.
At number 47, we have King Shark. This character looks cool, and he had some decent action scenes, but he kinda got ruined for me in the Grodd vs. King Shark episode, when they showed the human side to him. I keep thinking him an anonymous beast was better for him, as it made him look more scary and more frightening and threatening, and I didn't enjoy him as a so-called hero. Still looking at the past of all of that, he's very cool and I get excited every time I see him on screen.
Coming into the 46th spot is Gypsy. Now, just to get this clear, I don't remember much of this character. I honestly found her to be rather forgettable, but she still had a cool personality in the scenes I do remember of her, and I liked her relationship with Cisco. I didn't enjoy the whole breakup storyline that Cisco was sobbing over for many episodes, but aside from that, she was pretty cool. Her outfit was great, her personality was decent, and her power set was cool, but unfortunately not very unique in any way. I'll talk more about her father later, whom I liked more. At number 45, we have the main villain of Flash Season 4, Clifford DeVoe. DeVoe started out as an interesting character with a likable actor, but as the season went on and he started changing bodies every episode, it became repetitive, and the actors and actresses portraying him became worse every time. His motivations made sense to a degree, but the way he went about executing it was stupid, and because he was so smart that he could foresee every possible outcome of every situation they were in, he wasn't interesting and vulnerable, and therefore I couldn't rank him higher due to a lack of depth.
You beat me! No! This is not my will!
Coming up at the 44th spot is none other than Jonah Hex from Legends of Tomorrow. This actor had a lot to live up to, after Josh Brolin had previously portrayed him in the movies. And I'd say that he isn't quite at the same level as Brolin, but he's still a cool character nonetheless. His voice doesn't sound menacing enough to be the cynical bounty hunter he's known for, but his outfit and the special effects on his face are amazing. And he has some good dialogue with Sarah and Sari, and every time he shows up on screen, I can't help but get excited. Next up, we have Rip Hunter, the previous captain of the Wave Rider. I do very much prefer Sarah Lance as the captain, but I did enjoy Rip when he led the crew the first season, and as a Time Bureau leader in season 2. I liked his outfit, his relationship with Gideon and Wally West, and his chemistry with the team. Still, I didn't like how he constantly died, nearly died, disappeared and showed back up every time. It made me care less for him dying, because I knew it wasn't going to be permanent, so I had no reaction when he finally passed away at the end of season 3. Coming in at number 42, we've got ourselves another Legends character, that being Mollis, the main villain of season 3. Mollis himself was only in one episode and the ending of the episode before, but he was still present in vessels during the rest of the season. He mainly stayed inside Nora Dark, which I didn't love as I preferred her when she was herself and not possessed by an evil demon. I did, however, love his voice and his menacing appearance, and his design was amazing, although they only used it for one episode. The one thing I hated about him was that he was hyped up to be this unstoppable evil demon with great powers, but he was beaten by a giant Bebo. It made for a cool fight scene, but it took away greatly from his depth as a villainous character, unfortunately. At number 41, we have the big bad from Flash Season 3, Savitar. Savitar was the definition of a disappointment for me. I had very high expectations for him, as his suit design was, and still is to this day, pretty freaking amazing. But he did not at all live up to those expectations. His identity reveal was drawn out and predictable, his motivations and his origin story were unclear, and honestly, he acted really stupid most of the time. For the third time in a row, the villain was revealed to be a part of Team Flash, which I find incredibly idiotic. There isn't much to say about him that hasn't already been said, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm glad they moved away from speedster villains after season 3, although the later villains weren't exactly great either. Rounding off the 40s, we have Ralph Dibny. Now buckle up, because I have a lot to say about this character. His personality has changed so much, and so many times over the 2 seasons he has been on The Flash, that he is barely recognizable compared to what he was when he first showed up. In the previous season, he was always so stupid and had to learn the same damn lessons over and over again every single episode, just like Nora West Allen in this season. He always made episodes that were meant to be serious turn into cringy, non-funny ones, and never managed to uphold the standard of other characters had created before him. Now he's just kind of there. He doesn't have much to do, his jokes rarely land, and he's always pissing off other members of the team. I think the show would do better without him, honestly, although his powers are very cool, and he has had some great episodes, like when he disguised himself as DeVoe to help Barry in his trial. If there were more good episodes with him like those, I think I would like him more.
Starting off the 30s, we've got Ronnie Raymond, the former half of Firestorm before Jefferson took over. I liked Ronnie, he was really cool. At this point, all the characters moving forward are really ones I love. I prefer Jefferson over Ronnie, but that is most likely because he has gotten way more time to be a fully fleshed out character. I always saw Ronnie as mostly a partner to Caitlin and Stein, and never fully experienced him as his own, fully fleshed out person. Coming into number 38 is the father of Gypsy, Breacher. This character was really likable and extremely funny. I loved his banter with Cisco and how he was overprotective of his daughter. It made for some pretty hilarious scenes, even though his powers weren't very special. It was his personality and body language that stuck out to me, not his superhero action scenes. I hope he returns one day, even though Gypsy is long gone.
At number 37 is Grace Gibbons, the main villain of The Flash Season 5. I personally preferred the original Cicada over her, Orlin Dwyer, but I still think with the few scenes we have seen of her, she is going to be a great villain. I like her as a kid. I think she has a very interesting motivation, and the way she interacts with her uncle and the characters around her is awesome. I don't have much more to say about her, as I'm interested to see how she evolves throughout the rest of the season.
Next up, we have the Green Arrow himself, Oliver Queen. You may be wondering, ugh, Adrian, why the hell did you place Arrow so low on the list? He's awesome, you dick! Well, I haven't watched much of Arrow, as I said in the beginning. I have only watched one episode of Season 7, a few episodes of Season 4, and of course all the crossovers. From those, I find that Oliver is a very cool character. His way of handling his bow and arrows is very cinematic and looks dope, and his interactions with Flash, Diggle, and other characters is awesome too. I don't have much negative stuff to say about him, except for the Olicity stuff. I don't like him and Felicity together, and whenever they interact, I feel like his character gets dragged down, and for that reason, he is placed lower than many other characters. Coming up at number 35, we've got Jefferson, also known to many as just Jax. Jefferson is of course the other half of Firestorm, as he took over when Ronnie died. He has a fun personality and an awesome relationship with Clarissa, Lily and Professor Stein. And he is just an all-around likable person. Every scene he is in is filled with either laughter or sadness, as he is great at forming emotional moments, and I love that about it. The only thing keeping him from being ranked any higher is that he isn't all that interesting alone, without Martin Stein, and just the sheer love I have for all the other characters coming up. At the next spot we have Jesse Quick. Jessie was in her prime at the start of her career as a superhero in my opinion. I loved her relationship with Wally, her personality, her outfit, and her relationship with Harry grew on me over time. I didn't like the breakup with Wally and her sudden disappearance, and she felt relatively useless in the future episodes after Season 2 and parts of Season 3 of The Flash. Coming up next is Caitlin Snow. I used to really love her back in Season 1, where she was allowed to have all kinds of fun experiences. I loved her relationship with Ronnie, all the fun adventures she went on with Cisco and Barry, and just her general chemistry with the rest of the team. Her character did unfortunately only go downhill from there on to Season 2, however, because of her relationship with Hunter Solomon and her constant bitching about Ronnie dying. In the newer seasons, she is a much more serious character with much less to do, and Killer Frost has kinda taken her place. At number 32 is Harry from Earth 2. Harry is the definition of cool, fierce, and epic. He is constantly equipped with a weapon, and he never lets his guard down. He's not my favorite Wells, but he always puts a smile on my face when he shows up. I loved how he wasn't scared to attack freaking Zoom face to face, and he never fears anything, except for his daughter getting hurt. He is such a great character. At the 31st spot we have Supergirl. Again, just like with Arrow, I haven't really watched Supergirl. I've only watched 2 regular episodes, and of course all the crossovers. Supergirl, however, compared to Arrow, is much more fun and campy to watch. She's not necessarily more fleshed out than Oliver, but she's more fun to watch. Her friendship with her sister and Barry is awesome, and her powers are amazing as well. Her suit is great, as expected from the Krypton family, and her personality is adorable. I want to watch her show, but it's not that interesting to me, so I only watch her in the crossovers. Finishing off the 30s, we have Kid Flash, Wally West. Now, I didn't really like Wally when he was on The Flash, I'm gonna be completely honest. He was bitchy, always jealous, and kept on the sideline for Barry to shine. When he moved on to Legends of Tomorrow, however, he became way cooler, more fun, and super interesting to watch. His camaraderie with the Legends is fun to watch, and he really got to shine in that show. His powers got used with their full potential, and his personality much more closely resembled that of the comic books. It's a shame that the actor is finished playing the character. Starting off the 20s, we've got Sherlock Wells. This is definitely my favorite Wells. Ever since Sherlock's first appearance, he has never ceased to put a smile on my face. He is intelligent, fashionable, and intriguing to observe, and he always has something smart to say. The scene where he figured out Nora's secret was intense, and really showed how smart he really is. I can't wait to see what they do with him in the remaining episodes of Season 5. At number 28, we have Nora Dark. I didn't like her in Season 3 of Legends, but I can't use that against her too much, because that wasn't really her, it was Mollis using her body. Nora is very charming and has some good chemistry with Ray Palmer, and her powers are amazing! I love everything about her really, and the future plotlines regarding Hank's death and Neron will be very awesome to witness. Coming up at the 27th spot is the original Cicada, Orlin Dwyer. Cicada is one of the best villains the Flash show has seen to this day. He has some dumb moments where he goes, "Every matter will die," and "I'll kill every last one of you," and stuff. But they don't really take away from the fact that he is incredibly menacing and has a great motivation for doing what he is doing. He also had a good redemption arc and died trying to save his niece. The part where he asks Barry to save Grace was very touching and showed off in one sentence why he did everything he had done up until that point. I wish they kept him as the main villain for the rest of the season too, but it's going to be interesting to see how Grace evolves without him. At number 26, we have Mona Wu from Legends of Tomorrow. I love this character. She's funny, adorable, a great singer, and has good comedic timing. Her constant raging and emotions, however, can be annoying at times, but she is still a very good addition to the show. I like her interactions with Konane, Gary, and the Legends, and I'm intrigued to see how she's going to act on the ship compared to how she did when she was in the Time Bureau. At number 25, we've got Charlie, who is also from Legends of Tomorrow. I mentioned her very early in the video when I was talking about Amaya, and now I can finally elaborate on her. Charlie is a fun and campy character that fits way better with the Legends than Amaya ever did. She is a delight to watch every time she is on screen, and has a much better personality than Amaya had. No offense to whoever liked Amaya. The actress playing her finally gets to have fun along with everyone else and not be too serious all the time. And that is great. It's truly a win-win situation for everyone. I wasn't too fond of her sticking with Amaya's face after regaining the ability to shapeshift, but I know that it's an excuse for the writers to keep the actress in the show. She's grown on me, and I really like her now. Coming into the 24th spot is Hank Haywood. Tom Wilson is such an amazing actor, and it was refreshing to see such a well-known face on the show for once. In the beginning, just like many characters when they show up for the first time, I didn't particularly like him that much, because he was very distant from Nate and acted like an evil villain. As the season moved on, however, I started warming up to him, as he warmed up to the Legends and the Time Bureau, and in the end he became one of my favorite characters. He's funny, knows how to balance emotions and action, and has some great scenes with other characters. It's a shame they killed him off so early, as I was hoping to see even more of him.
Next up, we have Cecile Horn, Joe West's girlfriend. It's good to finally have a mother figure that can be there for both Barry and Iris when they need one, and to have someone that Joe can truly love as a girlfriend and not a daughter. In many cases, characters like these only end up being there to help other people grow. But in this case of Cecile, she is an awesome character herself as well. She often gets into adventures and solves cases with Barry and Joe, and she is very active in her job. She can easily connect with everyone on an emotional level, and every time she's on screen, you instantly know she is not someone you want to mess with.
Coming into number 22 is of course the professor himself, Martin Stein. Okay, so before I say anything else about him, I have to talk about his death. That scene was so damn well done, and it's the first time I have ever cried watching a TV show. It was perfectly executed, and shows how amazingly developed the character was. Stein for me was always the better half of Firestorm, and it really shows in the relationships he forms with every character he meets. Everyone loves his goofy self, and I was devastated when he left the show for good. At number 21, my lucky number, we have Leonard Snort, aka Captain Cold. I think everyone agrees with me when I say that this character is one of the best in the entirety of the Arrowverse. From a villain in Flash to a hero in Legends, Snort has mastered every personality type. He is creepy, funny, and his facial expressions and voice are so unique and really sell him as a fantastic character. I certainly hope he returns in the future of the series. Rounding off the 20s, we have Damien Dark. I watched a bit of Arrow Season 4, where he was the main villain, but I didn't really like him there. One should have thought that it would be fitting for his character to be in such a dark show, but in reality, he didn't get to shine properly until he was put into Legends of Tomorrow. The show really brought out the best of his performances in the different Arrowverse shows. He is both hilarious and antagonizing at the same time, and every time he says or does something, I either laugh or feel frightened. It's a big achievement managing to go from a character that I don't enjoy at all to one that I love, and that is something he has done. Starting off the 10s, we have Killer Frost. I mentioned earlier that she had stolen the spotlight from Caitlyn. She has all the cool scenes that Caitlyn previously had in earlier seasons of The Flash. And with cool scenes, I mean like really cool scenes. She doesn't just have boring ice powers, she has creativity enough to use them in awesome ways. Just like in the Crisis on Earth X crossover, when she made an ice sword that she used to beat people up with. I love her voice, outfit, personality, and sense of humor. And I'm so happy she went from being a villain to a part of the team. At number 18 is Sarah Lance, the captain of the Wave Rider, also known as the White Canary. I never thought I would love this character as much as I do. I'm glad she represents bisexuality in the Arrowverse, and I love how she continuously hooks up with everyone she meets. In the Arrowverse, I do also like Ava Lance, the ship name for the relationship she is in with Ava Sharp. She is very strong and extremely acrobatic, and it's cool to see her jump around and beat people up. Katie Lotz, the actress playing her, also does many of her stunts and fight scenes herself, which makes them even cooler. I hope she stays around for all future seasons of Legends. Coming up next at number 17 is Beeble. Now you may be wondering, why the hell is a teddy bear this high up on the list? Well, to that I say, it's freaking Beeble! He was used as a small gag throughout the entirety of Legends of Tomorrow Season 3, until the very last episode where he fought Molus and completely demolished him. The character is hilarious and really well used. I can't believe I would end up loving a teddy bear toy character this much, and I'm so glad they made me enjoy him. At the 16th spot, we've got Ava Sharp herself, the head of the Time Bureau. Ava embodies everything I want out of a character that acts as a leader, a lesbian, and a clone. Her backstory is super sad, but gives her such a unique personality and identity, and helps her emotional scenes have such a big impact on everyone around her, including her girlfriend Sarah, and us as viewers. The actress, Jess McAllen, is very likable and has a great sense of humor as well, and she plays the character so well that you can barely even tell that it's acting. The whole premise of her is simply very genuine. Coming into number 15 is the Trickster. This may be a weird choice to include on this list, because he has had such a minor role in the Arrowverse. He has showed up only a couple times on The Flash. At the times he has showed up, he has left such a big impact on me that I couldn't not include him. Mark Hamill really gets to shine and go all out in the role. They can't do the Joker on the show because he is not a Flash villain, but Mark acts just like him when playing the role. The Trickster is batshit crazy, villainous, humorous, and antagonizing, and you can't help but smile when he appears. I loved seeing him fight Jay Garrick, just like they did in the old Flash show with the same two actors, and fighting Barry is just too amazing. At number 14, we've got Cisco Ramon, Barry Allen's best friend. Cisco is amazing! He is funny, quirky, geeky, has cool powers, great chemistry with all his friends, and is almost always in a good mood. I don't like whenever he gets forced into relationships that never work out, when he was moody and angry at Barry for creating Flashpoint and shit. But looking past all that, he is such a great addition to the team. He has been present in the show as a series regular ever since season 1 of The Flash, and I really hope he stays there for many more seasons to come. Coming up next is Joe West. Joe is like the perfect father figure. He took Barry in as a kid and treated him like as his own son, and was a perfect dad for Iris after her mother left, and is an all-around nice guy. He always has something wise to say, and he never lets his guard down. He is very protective of his family and friends, is always in a good mood, and is a hard-working man. I mean, what is there not to love? At number 12 we've got Jay Garrick, also known as The Flash on Earth 3. This man is a goddamn legend. Ever since his first appearance, he has been pulling out new tricks left and right, and he never ceases to amaze me. His outfit is fucking epic as shit. His helmet is so cool and really unique, and the plot twist with him being the man in the iron mask in season 2 was really cool as well. Coming in at number 11 is Nate Haywood, the likeable dork with steel powers. Nate started off as yet another mediocre character for me, but he has evolved into one of my all-time favorites. He is funny, has cool powers, and I love the relationship he's building with Sari. I didn't like him with Amaya, but looking past all that, he has always kept his same lovable personality. His bromance with Ray Palmer is also great. Starting the top 10 is the Black Flash. Black Flash was so cool. I'm still furious that they killed him by shooting some ice at him. That scene was so freaking stupid. Aside from that, however, Black Flash was the second most menacing creature in the entirety of the Arrowverse for me. I'll talk more about the most menacing one later. He was able to kill Reverse Flash like it was nothing, threatened and almost killed Barry multiple times, and was an all-around beast. Every time someone called his name, or a speedster got really scared, you knew he was on his way to stop someone from messing with time. And it was epic. It truly was the best way to treat Zoom's character after he stopped being Zoom. At number 9, getting close to number 1, we have Gideon. Gideon feels like a character with two completely different personalities depending on the show she is on. On Flash, she seems smart and kind of boring, but on Legends, she is funny, cool, and pretty freaking epic. Every time the team needs help, she is always there to answer with cold, hard facts. Hadn't it been for her, the Legends would have been clueless of what to do most of the time, and the show wouldn't have been nearly as enjoyable as it is today. The few episodes she shows her human form, she is a great actress and really embodies everything she does as a voice actress for the version of Gideon we see most often. At number 8, we've got Sari Tomas. I have to say, she is pretty great. I love her constant banter with Mick, her relationship with Nate and everyone around her, and how much she has evolved and developed from season 3 to season 4 of Legends of Tomorrow. She, just like Mona and many other characters, has a great singing voice, and her ability to adapt to all the different storylines and crazy shit that takes place in the show is incredible. Every week, she is the character I am most excited to revisit and learn more about. At the 7th spot, we have the main man, the Scarlet Speedster, the Flash himself, Barry Allen. I wanted to place Flash higher, but I just couldn't. In season 1 and 2, he would have easily been my favorite. But due to him being dumbed down in the later seasons of the show to boost other characters and make others look smarter and better, I couldn't place him any higher. Still though, he is one of the big 3, and you can't help but love him. Grant Gustin really shines in that role, as the character has awesome dialogue scenes, epic action sequences, and great body language. He used to be very campy and silly, but he's gotten way more serious lately, which is good, because it shows some real depth and character development. It's strange to see how different he really is today from what he was back in the previous seasons. Drunk Barry, anyone? Coming up at number 6, almost into top 5, is none other than Gorilla Grodd. Grodd is the type of villain that just shows up randomly and is hype as shit every time. He is so silly and frightening at the same time, and he has the most ridiculous lines of dialogue compared to any other character in the Arrowverse. Like when he attacked young Barack Obama and said, "Time to make America grod again." It's so stupid, but for some reason it works. He is just a giant telepathic gorilla that beats up innocent people for no reason and acts like a King Kong on drugs. It's hilarious. He is definitely one of my favorite DC CW villains of all time. At number 5, we have Mick Rory, also known as Heatwave. Mick has changed a ton since he first appeared as a villain in The Flash, and I'm loving it. I adored him as a villain, but he's even better as a hero in Legends of Tomorrow. Everything that comes out of his mouth is hilarious, and every time he argues with someone, I find myself bursting out with laughter. He is also someone who is never afraid to use his gun and kill people, and it's amazing to have someone present that isn't passive. At the 4th spot, we've got the Atom, Ray Palmer. Just like with Nate, Ray is likable and charming, has great chemistry with everyone around him, and has evolved from someone I didn't really like to someone I absolutely love. He is adorable, funny, has a cool suit with epic shrinking powers that he unfortunately rarely uses anymore, and is very smart. He is actually one of, if not the smartest person on the Wave Rider, if you exclude Gideon, and is therefore always of great use to the team. Starting off the top 3, we have the main villain of The Flash Season 2, that being Zoom. This evil speedster's secret identity was predictable in my opinion, but that doesn't matter because he was fucking epic as shit. He was incredibly scary and creepy, and the most menacing character in the entirety of the Arrowverse for me, with his scary mask and an amazing suit. His voice was also creepy and perfectly represented everything we fear about him. His introduction where he beat Barry to pieces was great, and is still to this day my favorite villain reveal. And the way they ended him off and turned him into Black Flash was amazing as well. Getting close now. At number 2 we have John Constantine. I used to love every single episode he showed up in Legends of Tomorrow in the earlier seasons, and I was super disappointed whenever he disappeared and didn't come back for a long time. Now that he is a series regular in Season 4, he gets so much time to show off his fantastically awesome power set and personality. His powers are very much like Doctor Strange's, which is impressive considering the small CGI budget that these shows have. He's funny, charming, and makes me laugh every episode he shows up in. I love when he teams up with characters like Mick and Charlie and also Sarah, as they help boost him to even higher levels of epicness. His backstories have also helped give him more depth and made him even more interesting than he was before. And finally, we have the last person. At number 1, we have the best character in the entire Arrowverse, which for me is none other than Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. I don't want to spend too long talking about him, as this video is already way too long, but I want to say a few things. I love how 2 completely different actors can portray the same character and still make him awesome in both forms. He constantly comes back to ruin something for Barry, like killing his mother, training his daughter, and simply just attacking him for fun. It's so cool exploring his past, his future, his motivations, and he has a dope suit, one of the best in the entire Arrowverse in fact. His voice is super creepy, he has an identity completely different from any other character, and he is one of the smartest beings in the entire Arrowverse. I'm glad he never dies for real, as I love him so much, and I hope he keeps coming back for all eternity, in one form or another.